The past, the present, the future. This is Friday Night's Fright. What the planet is listening to.
Hello, it's Ian Austin, Friday Night Fright Frame, and today on this edition of Sharkmania 2019, not only am I doing a movie, which is a nice change of pace, but I'm going to review David Cronenberg's Scanners, the iconic movie which finds telekinetic titans at odds. Or as I like to call it, what happens if you have an entire universe full of Charles Xaviers? Charles Xavier obviously is the telepath at the front of the X-Men. Not telekinetic, but these guys are telepaths from my perspective point. And he is a right horrible bastard. Maybe not if you've seen movies where he's played by Patrick Stewart with a twinkle in his eye. But if you've read comic books, he's a complete bastard and an arsehole and, be honest, piece of shit. So, in that regard, this is the most faithful X-Men movie of them all. And it'll be interesting to rewatch this with that in mind. But you have to consider that this is the missing X-Men movie. Bunch of Charles Xavier style telepaths just fucking each other's heads up. But also, if you don't view it that way, it's also a really good David Cronenberg movie. And I know that's kind of a bit redundant because he doesn't make bad movies. Maybe you don't like him, but in terms of being competent movies, he makes very good movies. So it'll be interesting to watch this, and as always, remember... Oh no, I do like the end. I'll back off brief word from our sponsor. Hello again, it's Ian, and just finished watching Scanners, which is obviously a David Cronenberg movie, and I must say it's a particularly good David Cronenberg movie. Most of his movies are very watchable, but this one has something particularly intriguing to it, namely the fact that it's a horror movie comic book hybrid. He obviously would go back to this way with Existence in the 90s, which is actually a movie I generally enjoy and will at some point be doing either an episode on or It's Not As Bad As You Think episode on. I'm not sure which one yet, but one of them definitely. I want to see Avengers Endgame again. It's really good, and go and watch some wrestling after this. Recording this on Sunday and I'm very tired, so I'm just chilling out. But this continues the theme of interesting little unique horror movies, because this is definitely a unique horror movie. It's early-ish Cronenberg from the 80s, early 80s, and it's a combination Cronenberg and Michael Ironside, which is a particularly effective team up of great director and very good actor. Mike Ironside obviously is the guy from such movies as Starship Troopers. He's in Major Pain for a second, Total Recall, not in Robocop because he turned it down, but you can see shades of Hayworth playing villain in that movie, and loads of other movies. And he's a really good actor and definitely someone I'd recommend. If you see his name in the movie, you're going to get at least one decent performance. So the crux of this movie is Scanners. On the surface, telepath, but actually so much more. Spoilers are going to begin quite quickly, so if you don't want to be spoiled, just listen to my quick review, and then after about 30 seconds, stop listening. So Scanners is a very, very good movie, good acting, good writing, very clinical direction, very matter-of-fact direction, love points, but very good. It's quite violent, but it's a effective little horror movie, and also it does some of the comic book sci-fi tropes, so that's interesting. Definitely recommend. I'd probably go for 4 out of 5. But anyway, from this point, if you're still listening, you won't be spoiled, so you are going to be spoiled. Okay, when I said this was very much an X-Men movie, I was kind of half kidding, but upon rewatching it, it really, really is quite definitively, at least in style, and very much an X-Men movie, and would make you wish David Cronenberg had made an official X-Men movie, because he's really got the whole game down pat when it comes to some of the X-Men themes. In this movie, we obviously have the characters who are being manipulated by a shady government organisation, which is taken down quickly because they don't know how to deal with telepaths, or scanners as they're known in this movie. A scanner is on the surface a telepath, The scanner on the surface is telepath, although actually they could have a multitude of superpowers, as we find out in the end, when one of the characters starts turning into fucking Phoenix levels of power from X-Men. Fucking having flames come from his hands and being able to shrug off immortally brutal injuries and also telepathic invasion. But Crutchell's movie is playing on the idea of telepathy and telekinesis as a horrifying thing, which is something Stephen King did in novels like Carrie, where it's portrayed definitively as a horrifying, fantastical concept, which when taken to its true limits is really fucking disturbing, as it's exemplified by the famous scene of one scanner bursting another scanner's head. You realise with that sort of untold power, you can easily go down the path of genuinely terrifying villainy, which this movie does quite effectively in very much a Cronenberg way. Very clinical, very almost surgical precision to the scenes in this movie. There's no real filler, but at times it can be a bit dry, which is something Cronenberg does sometimes fall back on. He has a dark sense of humour, but it doesn't always translate the way I think he intends it to in his movies. He's also someone who can tend sometimes to rush through his plots. He doesn't like waste time. He doesn't like to spend 5 minutes on a scene when 2 minutes will do. He's very precise in that regard. Very much Switzerland, Swiss timepiece kind of guy, where he's very clinical, very precise, very matter of fact. But in some ways that does work better because this movie doesn't drag down with too much character stuff or any of that nonsense. It moves quickly, it results quickly, and any of the character issues are handled with very brisk pace and resolution. He doesn't feel need to over-explain anything. He assumes that you can figure out what's going on. You can roll with plot, and in many regards, that's true. The downside is that you get a movie like this where the main actor is overshadowed completely by Michael Ironside. But then again, this is one of Michael Ironside's most iconic performances because he's clearly giving it gusto. Some of his weird faces he makes while scanning can be slightly disconcerting or discombobulating at points, but at the same time they're effective because you can easily work out what's going on, what his agenda is and isn't. He's got very much a revolution bent to it, so in some ways these characters boil down to that Magneto versus Charles effect, where it's sort of like, no, we must rule we must rule this place because we're more powerful, whereas the other character whose name I've already forgotten, it's very much, no, we don't have to. And then there's the fact they're brothers, which adds an interesting dynamic to the movie. But not really too much. It's sort of underplayed, very much like it is in a movie like Shock Treatment, where the reveal of being family members isn't actually that important to the plot as a whole. It's just something to add a bit of attention to the final moments. So yeah, very good. On scale of Cronenberg movies, I'd say it's up there. I personally, I haven't seen all of them, but my personal favourite Cronenberg movie is currently probably Existence. I need to watch more of them. I haven't watched Videodrome, for example, although Dead Zone's a very good movie. Where he takes a Stephen King book, strips out a lot of the Stephen King-isms, but manages to make a really good movie anyway. Although the problem with that movie is I think Chris Walken's performance is a little too over the top. I know it's Chris Walken, but at the same time it's like there's a bit of excess there. That excess doesn't really play too much of a part in this movie, although Michael Ironside is quite over the top. But at the same time also has Patrick McGoohan in it, who's a very solid actor. So that's fascinating. So yeah, I'd probably give this 4 out of 5. I really enjoyed watching it, and I definitely recommend it. I want to get more in Cronenberg movies in general. I've been watching Crash at high school, and that was an interesting experience. Nothing really sexy about car crash violence, but Cronenberg handles these movies with quite an outside, unbiased eye. So you can take things like that and do a good job there. So yeah, I enjoyed this. It's quite an interesting movie to follow up Avengers Endgame with, and also a good movie to watch before I spend the next 5 hours watching the debut of All Elite Wrestling. But enough about that. Tomorrow's movie will be, maybe Dead Zone, maybe Videodrome. I'll find another Cronenberg movie on them. Shadow recap. But for now, remember, life is beautiful.